The following podcast is a part of RadioMisfits.com. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Male nurse pleasures himself next to Uber driver. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin. While taking an Uber home to his $655,000 townhouse, a Florida man exposed his genitals and pleasured himself to completion, forcing the driver to clean up the mess left behind by his front seat passenger. The driver picked up Jason Haggerty, 46, around 8:45 p.m. in Tampa and drove him to St. Petersburg, where Haggerty owns a residence with his husband. While en route, Haggerty displayed and exposed his penis and proceeded to masturbate the duration of the ride until arriving home. The driver told police he speaks no English and was unable to tell the defendant to stop. Though he did use his phone to record the defendant masturbating. The driver said that Haggerty ejaculated inside the vehicle. In order to continue working, the driver had to personally clean the seminal fluid from his own vehicle. Imagine hearing this story and realizing you were the next passenger. Well, an arrest affidavit noted that there was a third unknown person in the vehicle's back seat who spoke up for the victim at the conclusion of the ride. Oh, well. Police believe alcohol played a role in the incident, no doubt. Haggerty, a licensed nurse practitioner, was arrested for exposure of sexual organs, a misdemeanor, and booked into the county jail. During a court hearing, a judge ordered Haggerty released from custody on his own recognizance. The judge directed Haggerty to have no contact with the driver. Additionally, the judge ruled that the defendant shall not use Uber, Lyft, rideshare, or any assisted means of transportation while the case is pending. So, I don't know, I guess Haggerty will just have to beat off while on foot. This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Married Virginia teacher admits to seeking into 14-year-old student's home to have sex in his bed. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin. Yes, a married Virginia teacher faces up to 50 years behind bars after pleading guilty to having sex with her 14-year-old student over the school year at his home, where her DNA was recovered from his bed linens. Megan Pauline Jordan, 25, who taught at Hungary Creek Middle School in Henrico County, pleaded guilty to 4 counts of carnal knowledge and 1 count of indecent liberties of a minor, which are all felonies. The school district called Jordan's arrest an extremely serious and upsetting situation in an email to parents last year. I would assume the crime itself is far more upsetting than the arrest, but that's how the sentence is written. We have communicated with families at the school and will continue to support our school community in any way needed, continued the message. One person claimed on social media that Jordan was his teacher. I knew there was something wrong with her and the student's relationship. The student wouldn't do any of the work, and she wouldn't bat an eye. I noticed subtle flirting and teasing. The tension between them was insane. She deserves a life sentence for grooming this poor kid. Authorities cited the brave actions of those who brought this matter to the attention of the police. They're always asking people that if they see something unusual or not quite right to say something. Because of their efforts, this predator is off the streets, out of our schools, and will be held accountable for her actions. Well, teachers are supposed to impart knowledge upon their students, but when it's the carnal kind, it's against the law. This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. A Florida duo allegedly strangled and killed a man after a woman had arranged to meet him for sex. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin. Two people have been arrested after allegedly strangling a man, fatally shooting him, and leaving his body on the side of the road with his underwear and shorts pulled down to his ankles. Deputies responded to the 7600 block of Northwest 77th Terrace after a man found what he thought was a hog, but later realized it was a human body. Deputies found the deceased victim, later identified as Wayne Barlow, approximately 6 feet from the road. He was wearing a tank top, and his shorts and underwear were pulled down. According to an affidavit, deputies found the victim in a prone position, wedged between a tree and vines. Authorities also noticed blood on the victim's head, as well as lacerations and abrasions to his arms, legs, and torso. Barlow's wallet was recovered at the scene. The 5th District Medical Examiner's Office later determined the victim had been strangled and beaten, and he died of a gunshot wound to the head. According to the arrest affidavit, investigators spoke with Barlow's roommate, who said the victim planned to meet with a woman, but became upset because his vehicle had been stolen. On June 28th, 2023, deputies reportedly located the victim's gray 2018 Hyundai Sonata and attempted a traffic stop near South Pine Avenue and Southeast 31st Street. The vehicle failed to stop and a pursuit ensued. Deputies eventually found the vehicle abandoned and began searching the area on foot. The sheriff's office found Michael Montgomery Jr. hiding in water around 25 minutes into their search. Investigators reportedly found the key fob to the victim's vehicle in his possession. Shortly after, deputies also located Jessica Long hiding in 7-foot deep water near a tree. Authorities initially arrested Montgomery for fleeing or attempt to eluding law enforcement, as well as a probation violation. According to the arrest affidavit, Long had an active arrest warrant for grand theft auto, and officials took her into custody. Both Montgomery and Long were brought into the sheriff's office for questioning with regard to Barlow's death. Long told investigators the victim allowed her to borrow the vehicle and paid her to drive him around. However, the sheriff's office noted Long was evasive with her answers and would not provide a consistent statement of what she did on the day of the victim's death. According to the affidavit, Montgomery told deputies Long had sex with the victim for money, and she said he would leave bruises and other injuries on her. Long reportedly told Montgomery she needed the victim's car to run away because people have been trying to kill her. Long allegedly arranged to meet the victim for sex and asked Montgomery to help her steal his car. Montgomery mentioned another suspect, Terrence Meaty Barnes, who allegedly went with the two. According to the affidavit, Montgomery said things did not go according to plan. Barlow allegedly attacked Long after realizing they were going to steal his car. Barnes and Montgomery reportedly planned to rob Barlow while Long had sex with him. Montgomery allegedly punched the victim and held him down when Barnes shot a firearm, striking Barlow. Montgomery said the victim subsequently went stiff. Afterwards, Long allegedly told Barnes to dispose of the gun. There was reportedly blood all over Montgomery. They all planned to go to a store to buy materials to clean the victim's car, including bleach. Montgomery reportedly said Barnes cleaned the car, but there was still blood on the windows. During an interview, Barnes denied involvement in Barlow's death. However, he reportedly admitted to helping clean the vehicle after the crime. He told investigators he became upset with Montgomery and Long during the incident because he was afraid he'd be considered an accessory in the crime, because that's exactly what he was. On February 21st, the sheriff's office announced the arrest of Long and Montgomery on charges of homicide, murder, while engaged in a robbery. Well, it sounds like Montgomery really called it. Things certainly didn't go according to plan.
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Woman jumped through her window to escape naked intruder. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin. A Texas woman described the harrowing series of events after she went to her home to find a naked man smoking drugs after ransacking her belongings. Austin police said that a SWAT team had to respond to her home after 44-year-old Larry Robinson broke in. Elena Duguay said that she had returned home from visiting her husband when she realized someone had trashed the house. Her guard dogs were barking and foaming at the mouth. That's when she found Robinson, allegedly naked, with a drug pipe and a lighter. I guess I hadn't heard him come in, she said, because he didn't have shoes on or any other clothes. So I saw him and was obviously startled and just kind of froze there, she said. She told him to leave her home, but he didn't respond. He didn't have any real reaction. He seemed almost like he wasn't even there. There's no better word for it than he was out of his mind. She said that the man started to smoke from the pipe again, so she took the opportunity to call 911. But the call was cut off. She decided to make a run for a window, but she was unable to open it. That's when Robinson hit her with a dog crate that was on the floor. He basically slammed me against the wall with the crate, and it cut my leg, Duguay said. She said the man walked around the house, and she thinks one of their dogs bit him because he cursed at the dog. Then he turned his attention back to her in the living room. I just remember that was my one moment of panic, she said. She then jumped out of the window backward and waited for the police to arrive. When she told them that there were loaded weapons in the home, they called in the SWAT team. Robinson was arrested after a 90-minute standoff. While I think I may be handling it pretty well, there's a lot under the surface that is going to take some time to repair, Duguay said. The man is facing burglary charges. Duguay says that she found urine in her front hallway and feces in her bathtub. That's not where that goes. Anyway, they are waiting for their homeowner's insurance claim to be processed and have set up a GoFundMe account to help pay for the damage from the bizarre incident. Elected officials defunded the police department in Austin in 2020 by millions of dollars. But voters later approved a proposition to fund more police officers. So, poo-poo in the bathtub. You know, odds are her dogs are more properly potty trained than the intruder. This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Teacher who resigned after OnlyFans page was discovered is fired days after starting new job. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin, a Missouri-based OnlyFans model who resigned from her high school teaching job when her adult video platform was exposed, has been fired again just days after starting a new job. Brianna Coppage, 28, barely made it a full work week as a community support specialist at Compass Health before her new bosses discovered her OnlyFans account. Wonder how they did that. Claiming she violated social media policy.
I lasted 5 days before they put me on leave and subsequently fired me just this month,
she said. Coppage claims she was open, I'll bet, and truthful about all her past job experiences, even the handy ones, and reasons for leaving, but that they only did the digital background checks after they offered the job.
They admitted that they didn't call my references or Google me before they hired me.
Coppage added.
They claim that I violated their social media policy, but will not respond to me with how I violated it.
In September 2023, Coppage, an English teacher, was placed on administrative leave when the St. Clair School District discovered the pornographic site she ran with her husband. Coppage ultimately resigned from her position, where she had worked for 2 years teaching freshmen and sophomores at St. Clair High School.
I don't want to fight the school district. I'm just ready for peace.
A lot of people were ready for a piece of you.
I don't want the school to continue getting hate. I would like the education of students to be able to return to normal. They deserve to have a great year.
Coppage made light of the recent firing, taking to Instagram to jokingly ask for a new job recommendation while sitting on a couch in only her underwear.
So I'm sure by now you've heard or you've seen I've been fired from my most recent job. Anyone knows of anywhere hiring, can you just put it in the comments for me? That would be great.
The former educator said she started the OnlyFans account as a side job, offering a side piece, because she earned around $42,000 per year as a teacher. Coppage claimed she has made over $1 million off of her erotic work since her resignation. Do you need the job? According to her bio on X, she also claimed to be in the top 0.1% of models on OnlyFans. And, being a former teacher helps, that old fantasy. Coppage said she struggled mentally because she was not in a normal routine after her resignation. He's spending a lot of time on all fours now.
Not having to get up and go to a 9 to 5 has been tough on my mental health.
Following the revelation of Coppage's not-so-private life, another English teacher in the school was caught and placed on leave due to her own account on the internet subscription service site. Megan Ganther's OnlyFans was shared with the school district after a student slid a note under her door claiming they knew her secret. The English teacher and cheer coach says she began sharing her work to help pay off more than $125,000 in student loans after only being paid $47,500 a year. Well, it's a shame to see the entrepreneurial spirit so badly tarnished. But, of course, in the classroom setting, the obvious distraction of seeing your hot young teacher in pornographic videos and photos. I mean, how are you going to concentrate, Remember the hot young teachers you might have on occasion when you were in school? Man, that would have been something, huh? Yeah. Oh, but anyway, it's all very naughty and nasty, and these ladies need a spanking pronto.
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Texas mom and daughter busted for nationwide illegal butt injection operation. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin. A mother-daughter duo from Texas have been arrested for allegedly running a nationwide illegal butt injection operation. The pair, Consuelo Dalbo, 56, and Isabella Dalbo, 18, were busted in a sting operation by an undercover cop in Houston. The two women thought they were meeting with a client whom they had charged $6,000 for the illegal procedure. They had just arrived back from California, where they were also conducting their illicit business. The mom and daughter were planning to inject the undercover cop with an unlabeled brown liquid. Why do you need to inject brown liquid into the butt when, a butt can do that on its own? In an apparent effort to calm down the cop before the procedure, the mother, a licensed cosmetologist in Texas, also allegedly offered the officer a Xanax. Officers then descended on the scene and collected bottles of illegal injectables and medical equipment from their bags. The two suspects allegedly claimed they were not even sure what was in the bottles. You might need to know that, but, well. The sting was orchestrated by the Houston Police Department's Major Offenders Division, the Food and Drug Administration, and Homeland Security. They want to get in on this, too. Thank God they're protecting us from illegal butt injections. Both mother and daughter are charged with unlawfully practicing medicine. And the mother is facing an additional drug charge. They were released on bond and are scheduled to appear in court. The FDA has warned for years against using injectable dermal fillers for body contouring, saying it could lead to long-term pain, infections, serious injuries, and even death.
The injectable silicone oil breaks off into smaller particles throughout the body, possibly causing permanent damage and life-threatening complications such as stroke, embolism, and even death,
said Lisa Vasquez, a board-certified aesthetic nurse practitioner at Perlman Aesthetic Surgery in New York. She added that it is difficult to reverse an injection. I guess so. Even for the most skilled plastic surgeons.
Removal will require direct incision or vaser-assisted liposuction guided by ultrasound, which removes injected silicone, siliconomas, and scar tissue. But there is nothing that can dissolve liquid silicone. Any granulomas or clusters of white blood cells and other tissue would also need to be surgically excised.
The FDA has also said silicone stays in the body forever because the material does not break down. Holy crap, what did these two do? Inject their faces with this crap? I mean, I thought you were butt injectors, not, just cheek injectors. Yeah. Oh, perhaps there was some confusion, yeah. Well, isn't this case just a pain in the ass? This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Brazilian woman brazenly wheels elderly man's corpse into bank to co-sign a loan for her. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin. In a mind-boggling scene straight out of Weekend at Bernie's, a Brazilian woman reportedly wheeled the corpse of an elderly man into a Rio de Janeiro bank to try to get him to co-sign on a loan. The bank customer, identified as Erica de Souza Vieira Nunes, was captured on video standing next to the deceased, seated in a chair and seemingly holding up his drooping head. The wild footage, which was first aired by TV Globo, Brazil's largest broadcaster, captured Nunes talking to the dead man, whom she addressed as her uncle, and asking him to sign financial documents that would allow her to take out a $3,400 loan. Uncle, are you listening? You need to sign the loan contract. If you don't sign, there's no way, because I can't sign for you, Nunez says in the video while thrusting a pen between the limp fingers and instructing him to hold it hard. Sign, so you don't give me any more headaches. I can't take it anymore, she adds. When a bank worker tries to point out that the man's color looks off and he appears not well, Nunez dismisses his concerns. He is like that. He doesn't say anything, Nunez says. Uncle, do you want to go to the hospital again? Unnerved, bank staffers quickly called the police, who arrived and arrested Nunez. It was later determined that the decedent, identified as 68-year-old Paulo Roberto Braga, had been dead for several hours prior to his trip to the bank. She tried to pretend to get him to sign the loan. He already entered a bank dead, Police Chief Fabio Luis told TV Globo. The main thing is to continue the investigation to identify other family members and find out more about this loan. Police said they will look into the circumstances of Braga's death and will try to determine whether Nunez is actually his niece and whether other relatives were involved in the alleged attempt to commit bank fraud. Nunez could face charges of theft through fraud or embezzlement and abuse of a corpse. So apparently we've got a vulture here attempting to pick this corpse clean in order to remedy her headaches.
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin.
Trans vampire, quote-unquote, woman sexually assaulted teen and is charged in the death of a disabled man. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin. A transgender woman who identifies as a vampire has been convicted of sexually assaulting a developmentally disabled girl while already under investigation for allegedly strangling a man. Adam Hetke, 35, who goes by the name Sabrina, was convicted in Wisconsin of first-degree sexual assault by threatening the use of a dangerous weapon and second-degree assault of a mentally ill victim. Hetke is already a convicted sex offender, surprise, surprise, and under investigation for a homicide, with charges only filed since the disturbed attacker was busted for the sexual assault. Hetke met its latest known victim, a 16-year-old girl with cognitive disabilities, at a gas station in July 2021. Went to her home and sexually assaulted her while threatening to use a knife. The girl said Hetke told her that he was a vampire and that he would bite her if she didn't do what he wanted. Hetke was wearing a one-piece swimsuit under its clothes and carrying a knife when approached by police. The convicted sex offender, who was released from prison in November 2020, also faces charges of an open homicide case in Milwaukee. It was arrested on a tentative charge of first-degree intentional homicide in the April 2021 death of Vidal Thompson Moody, a 28-year-old man who had a cognitive disability. Boy, you're seeing a pattern here. The victim was strangled with a cord inside a home in the Concordia neighborhood on Milwaukee's west side. Hetke told Milwaukee police that the young man was possessed by a demon and began stabbing himself in the chest with tongs. Hetke said he managed to exorcise the demon, but that the demon caused Thompson Moody to wrap a cord around his own neck and pull the ends. One witness said he was scared of Hetke, who also went by the name Morgan, and claimed he would inject demons into people's bodies. Hetke told the witness he would place a demon inside the victim and kill him because he disrespected him. Then allegedly admitted to another witness that he killed him. I killed him. God can't bring him back, but I can because I'm the devil, Hetke allegedly said. The suspect was arrested within 24 hours of the crime, but was soon released with no charges formally filed. Thompson Moody's mother, Serena Thompson, was told the witnesses weren't cooperating with authorities, so she began making phone calls and reaching out to them on social media. Vidal would have wanted me to be persistent, she said. I will never give up on him. Being that they let this person go and commit another crime, it hurt. It could have been prevented. When cops arrived at the Westwell Street home, they found Thompson Moody on the floor with a 15-foot electrical cord under him and marks on his neck and forehead. After a week in jail, Hetke was discharged by the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office on administrative release, a designation that typically means prosecutors aren't yet prepared to file charges. All the witnesses eventually told police that after being released from jail, Hetke returned home and admitted to killing Thompson Moody intentionally. But it took 2 months for prosecutors to pursue charges. Milwaukee County Chief Deputy District Attorney Kent Lovern said that it was important for them to receive additional information related to the investigation before issuing criminal charges. So in conclusion, a man who identifies as a woman that identifies as a vampire said that demons killed this mentally disabled man. And the prosecutor said, well, we don't really have anything, so they let him go. The only witnesses, and I suppose they would chalk that up as hearsay, so they let him go so he could rape a mentally disabled girl. Oh, and by the way, the pronoun protocols should absolutely never apply to convicted sex offenders.
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin.
A British dancer was strangled by her boyfriend in a drug-fueled sex game gone wrong. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin. Georgia Brooke, 26, died after being choked by 31-year-old Luke Cannon at his home in Bradford, West Yorkshire, after they both took GHB and cocaine. A police probe determined the couple had an experimental sexual relationship and that Brooke had a particular interest in choking. The couple's text messages, which were shown as evidence during an inquest, suggested Brooke had consented to such sexual practices with her boyfriend in the past. Coroner Martin Fleming, who ultimately concluded Brooke died of an unlawful killing, said there was no evidence Cannon intended to kill his girlfriend, but that he had used excessive force. The dancer was pronounced dead at a hospital in the early hours after going into cardiac arrest in the wake of the late-night romp. Her boyfriend called first responders and then accompanied Brooke to the hospital, but fled through a fire door before cops could speak to him. Police quickly launched a murder probe and began searching for Cannon, but his body was found hanged in a wooded area close to the hospital the following day. Brooke's family claimed that the dancer's behavior had changed when she started dating Cannon in 2021. Her mom, Samantha Beaumont, accused Cannon of being coercive and said he'd told her daughter what to wear. She also claimed her daughter's boyfriend was controlling and had told her where to sit when he came to the family Christmas celebrations. However, Cannon's brother, Joshua Cannon, told the court he genuinely cared for Brooke and was a generous person who would always do what he could to help people. Meanwhile, Brooke's death prompted the coroner to issue a strong message about the dangers of sexual choking. This type of sex act is dangerous and reckless, and it all too often ends in fatal consequences, said Fleming. Well, this does sound like it was probably an accident, but that's the thing about love and passion. Sometimes it just gets you all choked up. This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Special needs teacher caught sexually abusing student on camera, but the school didn't monitor the video. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin. Classroom cameras at a costly taxpayer-funded boarding school for autistic, mentally ill, and emotionally disturbed students captured a biology teacher sexually abusing a boy. But no one monitored the video. Only after the student told his mom that he had sex repeatedly with Sandy Carazaz Pinez, a teacher at Biondi High School, did the principal watch the video. It showed the instructor cuddling with the 16-year-old during class and asking him to rub her crotch. What I just saw was disturbing, Principal Maria Baker said, according to the boy's mother. She was crying. She was so sorry. They should have been looking at the cameras. No kidding. In July 2023, Carazaz Pinez, 34, a married mother of 3 who formerly taught in 2 city public schools, was charged criminally in Manhattan federal court with luring the teen into a sexual relationship and convincing him to appear with her on an X-rated live stream video call. For 3 years, from 2020 to 2023, the New York City Department of Education paid Biondi for the boy's tuition, room, and board, psychological treatment, and 24-hour supervision. The cost likely exceeded $100,000 a year, say education advocates who place DOE students with special needs in private schools funded by the city and state. Among her many texts to the teen, the lawsuit states, Carazaz Pinez wrote, "I loved that you were holding and hugging me in school. And I call you crazy when you try to finger me in class." The school let the youth leave campus for hours at a time on a day pass without his mother's permission. On dozens of outings, Carazaz Pinez met the boy at a nearby Dunkin' Donuts, and they had sex in her car. Carazaz Pinez sent the boy nude photographs of herself and lewd text messages, including one saying she was sore after he gave her a workout. When the youth tried to stop the sexual activity, Carazaz Pinez threatened to fail him in class or kill herself, which traumatized the teen, a schizophrenic who had attempted suicide. Had the school followed even their most basic safety protocols, they could have prevented the horrific, repeated, and ongoing abuse that had occurred under their own roof, said lawyer Leslie Bovner of the law firm Peters Bovner, which filed a lawsuit against the institution. Several months after Carazaz Pinez was arrested in 2023, the Biondi school permanently closed because it was not financially viable, said Jennifer Scott, a spokeswoman for Rising Ground Incorporated, the Brooklyn nonprofit that ran Biondi. Connecticut-based iPark purchased the 28-acre campus for $52.6 million and plans to use the site for film studios, and a performing arts school. The Biondi scandal is a black eye for Rising Ground, which has collected $374 million in New York City funds for various services since 2018. The institution, which fired Karazaz Pinez after discovering her misconduct, declined to comment on the lawsuit. The disgraced teacher was jailed after a judge found she violated her bail conditions while staying with her parents in Staten Island. The suit seeks unspecified compensatory and punitive damages. Well, since they did sell the property for over $50 million, there ought to be enough in there to, pay off the suit. But boy, I wonder how much the camera system cost, It's only good if you actually monitor it, I mean, if the kid hadn't said anything, they never would have known, because they don't care. Your tax dollars at work.
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin.
47-year-old guidance counselor sent nudes and gave lap dances to 13-year-old male student. Yep, it's gonna be another one of those. Married mother of three, Louisa Nailsin, 47, was arrested months after a male friend borrowed her phone when his broke and found raunchy messages between the educator and teen boy. The former Nathan Hale middle school staffer was charged with second-degree sexual assault and 2 counts of risk of injury to a minor. She has since resigned from Norwalk Public Schools. Authorities began a probe into the new Canaan resident in late April when the friend contacted police about finding messages that appeared sexual in nature on the phone. She gave him her phone. And of course, he immediately began snooping. Well, let's see what we got here. Jeez. Oh, wow, she's naked. Wait a minute. Who is she sending this to? Uh-oh. Ah, damn, now I got to admit I was snooping. It's the right thing to do. So, the messages also included explicit photos of Nailsin and money transactions. Jeez, was she paying this kid? Let's see. When reached by police, the teen told investigators he received nude photos from Nailsin and payments. Okay. For Uber rides, food, and $100 around Christmas last year. Oh, that's sweet, isn't it? Jeez. The student also said that Nailsin performed lap dances and others sexual acts with him behind closed doors and with the blinds pulled down. Well, I would guess, yeah. Except then she just hands her phone away to some guy. He's like, hey, I thought we were pals. Come on. Prosecutor Paul Faranek said in court that the victim was 13 years old at the time. The safety of our students is our first concern. Louisa Nailsin is no longer employed by Norwalk Public Schools, the school system said in a statement. Norwalk Public Schools is cooperating with the Norwalk Police Department's investigation and has no further comment. Well, anyway, her lawyer, Mark Sherman, said that Nailsin resigned from the job last month. Louisa is still very much entitled to the presumption of innocence, said Sherman. These are just accusations. What we do know is that these charges are being filed against a devoted wife and mother. Well, how devoted of a wife is she? Who has dedicated over 21 years to her profession and is going to take some time to investigate this case. Oh, like how did those nudes end up on my phone? Oh man, why was I paying $100 to this kid? Oh geez, and how did I end up sending those nudes to him? Oh my goodness, how did that happen? By the way, did he have a phone? Uh-oh, Louisa, does he have more photos and videos of the action? Yeah. But anyway, that'll help with your investigation to find out what exactly happened, 21 years, but then this kid walks in and, well, you just lost yourself, huh? Yeah. In the meantime, she posted $500,000 bond and was released. Nailsin is, of course, prohibited from having unsupervised contact with minors, except her 3 kids, and will be under house arrest. So, yeah, I know, where was she when I was young and in school? But keep in mind, she's obviously batshit crazy. 21 years, and this happens, it's probably not the first time. She just got caught this time around, But still, yeah, when you engage in this sort of thing with a psycho bitch, you are taking your life and your junk in your hands. Well, not in the good way, but yeah, it could go very, very badly, So, it probably worked out the way it should. 13 and 47. Yeah. Well, he's got memories now, there's that. But, yeah, I wonder how her investigation's going, and is the husband going to buy that?
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Teacher sentenced for having sex with a student in her classroom on the day of his 8th graduation. Wow. What a send-off. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin. Yes, a 46-year-old teacher received the maximum prison term for recently pleading guilty to having sex with a 14-year-old student in her classroom. A judge sentenced Michelle Solis to 4 years in state prison for 1 count of sex with a minor. Solis will also have to register as a sex offender and must not contact the victim for 10 years. After that, well, prosecutors said the victim was Solis' student in June 2021 when he was in 8th grade at Sycamore Junior High School. Solis reportedly added the young student as a friend on Instagram and began sending him messages shortly before his graduation. According to the district attorney's office, Solis sent the student 4 inappropriate photos and had sex with him. Gridley police uncovered Solis' crimes in October 2023 when a concerned parent notified law enforcement about rumors of explicit photos of Solis being sent among students. Police found additional photos of the defendant on the victim's phone, as well as their messages. Officers initially arrested Solis on November 13th, 2023, for unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor under the age of 16. According to the district attorney's office, Solis' attorney argued that she should receive probation, citing the incident as only one act. However, prosecutors sought the maximum term, pointing to the 29-year age gap as well as Solis' position as a trusted community member and a pattern of conduct amounting to grooming. The district attorney's office also argued that Solis gave the victim special treatment, well, to say the least, and told him to delete their communications. Solis had reportedly worked as a teacher with the Gridley Unified School District for 20 years. Career, ethics, morality, all of it thrown out the window, all to live out a forbidden fantasy. But that's what happens when you don't have a soul. This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Library girl gets booked on drug rap. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin.
Kendra Sutherland, whose solo exploits in an Oregon State University library helped launch her porn career, got arrested on a felony drug charge in Texas. Sunderland, 29, was busted while driving on Interstate 45 in Willis, a city about 50 miles north of Houston. Sunderland was behind the wheel of a 2013 Lexus, pulled over by a Montgomery County Sheriff's Office deputy, according to a redacted incident report. I wonder why it was redacted. Sunderland was nabbed for possession of a controlled substance, which apparently was marijuana. And they have to stipulate apparently because the report has been redacted. That's interesting. But marijuana, that's it. I mean, her mugshot sort of says it all. She's just like, really? Really? Well, you know, the laws are the laws, and you were in Texas. So she was booked into the county jail, from which she was subsequently released. Sunderland, who is listed as being a Las Vegas resident, I guess that explains why she wasn't aware of Texas law, I suppose. Anyway, Sunderland, of course, I don't know what Nevada law is, but then again, maybe so. Anyway, Sunderland shot to fame in 2015 after filming a 31-minute webcam performance inside OSU's Valley Library. The video, which somehow found its way to the internet, showed Sunderland exposing her breasts, vagina, and masturbating, and licking herself. Well, while Sunderland had attended Oregon State, she was not currently registered for classes when she used the library's Wi-Fi connection to broadcast the webcam performance via her laptop. Well, you know, you go to the university to pursue some sort of future career, and that's exactly what she did. So anyway, charged with public indecency, Sunderland copped to the misdemeanor count and was fined $1,000. Over the following years, Sunderland's adult film career has blossomed, and her social media accounts exploded. 800,000 Instagram followers. 800, that's it? I would have thought it'd be more on Instagram. But meanwhile, on Twitter, she has 1.1 million followers. So, yeah, there you go. Sunderland even has a signature model fleshlight. Well, of course. In a recent Instagram post, Sunderland noted the 9th anniversary of the Library Girl video, saying it was a day that had changed her life forever, and she thanked everyone who participated in getting her this far, and that she loves you all. Well, hopefully this won't stumble too much in her career path. Because everyone loves her lovelies. Yeah. So anyway, yes. Boy, you go to the library to learn and stuff. And, well, I guess she did. Just not about Texas drug laws.
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin.
Demise of polyamorous relationship leads to romantic rival shooting jealous victim. Hello, I'm Mr. Nailsin. So anyway, a Florida woman reportedly became enraged when she was dumped from a polyamorous relationship. So she showed up at her romantic rival's apartment door and ended up getting shot. Jail and court records show that 22-year-old Lorraine Barbie Cruz is facing charges of second-degree attempted murder and using a firearm while committing a felony. Well, yes, that's the element used in the attempted murder. So it's always kind of weird how the charges are done, you know, because isn't it all the same thing? But that way you can add more counts, you know. So anyway, she's the gun moll. And we don't know what the victim looks like, but she was mad because she won out in the battle of bitches over the dude, you know. That's what I'm guessing. Is that how it turned out? Well, let's see. So anyway, it happened. It happened one night. It happened around 2 p.m. Saturday at a Miami high-rise apartment building. An arrest affidavit obtained by some local affiliate, who cares, and reviewed by this site, Law and Crime. Cruz, the female victim, and a man were allegedly in a polyamorous relationship. The man later told detectives that he and the victim had been in a relationship for about 5 years before he met Cruz about 2 years ago. That's when the trio entered into a polyamorous relationship. But the man recently began having issues with the victim, so he dumped her like a turd in the bowl in favor of Cruz. This allegedly made the victim jealous. Well, yeah. She's left out in the cold, like steel toe. The man spent the night with Cruz and was outside on her balcony smoking a cigarette around 6 a.m. Saturday. The victim, who lives in the building across the street, spotted the man from her own balcony and allegedly yelled, "That's what you want to do?" Yes, and he did it. He wants to do Miss Cruz, and he's going to keep on doing it. Well, not anymore, because she's going to be in jail and prison. Man, that sucks. That's too bad. Anyway, the man scurried back inside and left the apartment because he didn't want to deal with the drama. Well, no shizness. Yeah. He got the hell out of there. Somehow, he had an inkling of what might occur. Because he's known these women intimately. Oh, yes. Yes. So several hours later, the victim allegedly went over to Cruz's apartment building. A DoorDash driver told cops he was making a delivery to the building and rode up the elevator to the 31st floor with the victim. He could tell she was angry. The driver told cops he saw the victim go to an apartment and start banging and kicking the door. Meanwhile, Cruz allegedly called her lover. "Come get your girl. She is outside banging on my door," she reportedly told the man. Well, he didn't show up, Hey, I don't want anything to do with that psycho bitch. Yeah, but you gotta defend your current lady, don't you? Well, anyway, then Cruz allegedly shot the victim in the neck. The DoorDash driver heard the gunshot, but didn't see the shooter. Well, yeah, the door was shut. I think they meant to say he didn't witness the shooting. Yeah. He saw the victim bleeding from the neck. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital where doctors removed the bullet from her neck. Wow. The condition of the victim is unclear. Man, we don't know how bad the condition is. And a bullet wound to the neck, if it damaged the vertebrae, she might be paralyzed from the neck down. Or maybe she's near death as we speak. That's going to be bad for, Miss Cruz. Well, detectives reportedly determined that the victim never entered the apartment, and Cruz blindly fired a gun through the door, striking the victim in the neck. They took Cruz to the Turner Guilford Knight Correctional Center. Wow, Knight could hang out there, where she's being held without bond. Well, she's got a court date in December, just in time for the holidays, That's too sad. So we don't know what ranking we'd give the other girl. But Mr. Studley thought this was better. So she won that deal. But then, well, and I mean, how scary was the other girl? That might be able to factor in for mitigating circumstances in which she could say, hey, look, I was scared for my life. So I told her to leave, but she wouldn't. Did she actually believe this other girl could kick that door down, you know? Maybe it's really cheap, you know? If she kept pounding on it, maybe she would have gotten in. And then, oh my God, who knows what could have happened. But, boy, I tell you, when it comes to these polyamorous relationships, you know, they tend not to end well. Because turns out they're more poly than amorous.
The views and opinions expressed during the Mr. Nailsin show do not necessarily reflect those held by RadioMisfits.com. So, any complaints and or comments should be sent to @Mr. Nailsin on Twitter, where they will be promptly ignored and or blocked.